It's 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. This meeting to order. When we're live, we'll do public comments. Okay. We have 4 speakers today. Cynthia McCarthy, welcome back.
Thanks.
And then we'll have Jason Reeser up next.
Thank you, Jason.
Good morning.
Morning. The more people who find out about the dog park plan for Burnett Woods, the more people oppose it. This is why you announced the dog park by burying it in your meeting minutes on the day you decided on Burnett Woods, rather than investigating other more suitable sites. You decided without any input from neighbors. You stuck to your decision even after hundreds of letters and thousands of signatures against it from neighbors, environmental groups, adjacent community councils, scientists, naturalists, volunteers, and other friends of the park. You stuck to your decision after the one and only bid came in 25% over budget. You stuck to your decision even after the $150,000 in private funding failed to materialize over 3 years. Funding you told City Council the dog park was contingent upon. You are so attached to your decision that you broke protocol and ethics by privately negotiating with Bruce and key dog park supporters to shrink the project and hide line items in the park budget for taxpayers to pay. You did not put it back out for competitive bidding, and your Bruce representative happens to serve on your funding board. How convenient. You are so attached to your decision that you are fine with removing the features that made it the first universally accessible dog park in Cincinnati. You even took out the handicap parking and the curb cut. You are so attached to your decision that you are fine with lying to your donors. You still have the original plan posted on the website for fundraising. You say on the site that you're partnering with UC students. All the students I know with the dog park on their lips are protesting it. You say a space where dogs can safely play. Not true. You do not have enough space for a small dog area, and the fence is not high enough to keep big dogs in. You are happy to continue your charade of it's for bringing the community together, when clearly it's doing the opposite. What would it take to change your minds? You don't have the $150,000 you promised City Council. How much would we have to raise to pay you not to do it? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we've got Jason Reeser and then we've got Susan Binder. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, commissioners. I'm Jason Reeser from the Cincinnati Off-Road Alliance. Just here, just to get an update on the Mount Airy Bike Park. We're really excited that the city's been working with American Ram Company, possibly get out to bid or out to get awarded. So I just want to find out more about the process, maybe, and get a little clarity to bring back to our donors.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Is that the end of your comment?
Yeah, maybe it's just more of a question, but yes.
We're just in public comment right now.
Okay.
Address.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we've got Susan Binder and then we've got Evan Walker.
Good morning, Good morning, everybody. I'm Susan Binder. My father was Bill Binder. He was a real estate man. A CPA and an attorney, he was treasurer of Emery Realty, Thomas Emery and Sons, in the 1970s. He was a huge part of major development decisions in this city. I feel very much like he would have felt about the idea of any development being done without a conscience, which I feel the dog park is being done. Just sick over it. The majority of this community doesn't even know about this thing yet. They've been paying attention to much greater issues in the world. But as soon as they see the project start in Burnett, that's when the protest will begin. They've not even begun yet. Because we who believe in ecology cannot rest. We who believe in ecology cannot rest until you leave it alone. We who believe in ecology cannot rest. We who believe in ecology will not rest until you leave it alone. Until the habitat of the bird owl, Cooper's hawk, and red-shouldered hawk is more important to a park board of our city than real estate property values. Whoa, you believe in equality, will not rest. Who believe in equality will not rest until you leave this project alone. Move it somewhere else. Barn owls have to have old growth forests. A great horned owl can move out into the Clifton neighborhood, but a barn owl can't. It has to have old growth forest. And it's such a treasure. Please stop this crazy
We're up with Evan Walker now.
Together community development idea. It's a singles club.
We have Evan Walker up. Try following that, Evan.
Yeah, I don't have a song today, but I've spoken to the park board a few times before, but I actually feel like it's been a while, and so I'll introduce myself. Evan Walker, I'm the founder of the Cincinnati Skate Park project, and so we're advocating for safe, sustainable, and inclusive public skate parks in Cincinnati. We have a project in the works, which you probably heard about in Camp Washington, working with CRC. That's going to be the first custom concrete skate park in the city. We know it's going to be a success. There's a lot of interest in it. We also know that it takes time to build these projects. It's taken a lot of time, actually. But that's also sparked interest in what's the next project? What's the next one on the list? And ever since the beginning, we've been getting a lot of interest in places like Sawyer Point. So with the unfortunate fire at the playground recently, it's since it reignited this renewed interest in the space. And so we put out a petition to see, is there an interest actually in the space? You know, we hear this stuff, but we want to know, we want to see it in writing. And quickly got 250 signatures, 500, 1,000 for WVXU, City B. So there's a big interest in a skate park in Sawyer Point, potentially under the highway. There's cool examples of under highway skate parks around the country. And we think it would pair well with the roller rink, the pickleball as an interesting sort of like modern recreational facility. And we know we need more than one park. So we want to keep this moving. We want to keep the progress and the interest moving. We had an official activation at Blink. We were invited by the regional chamber in Blink and built a little skate park down in OTR. It was packed the whole time. I keep hearing from parents after the Olympics and after Blink saying, like, my kid wants to learn to skate. Where can I go? I can't tell them to go to Cincinnati parks. We don't have a skate park. It's not allowed in the parks. And again, this is an Olympic sport. It's the fourth most used feature in public parks, ahead of dog parks, ahead of other things that we have. Other cities have, Columbus has 2, Dayton has 3, Indianapolis has 4.
That's 2 minutes.
Thank you, Evan.
Thanks.
All right, Jason, could you take a minute or two to address Jason Reeser's question about the bike skills?
Yeah, everything's moving forward with bike skills course. It's moving through the purchasing process, which, as we know, takes a couple of weeks to get through accounts and audits and to get through finance and to get through the DEI and procurement. And then ultimately the contract has to be routed, has to be agreed to by American Ramps and then routed. So we're just in the process of all that. We have every expectation that it'll be signed by the end of the year, and then we'll get on their schedule for sometime next year.
When you say sometime next year, what's
I don't have a great expectation because
They told us it would be likely, as long as we're under contract by the end of the year, Molly, they told us it'd be likely late spring to early summer will be when they start. So May to June.
Right.
Hopefully obviously done and site restored by the end of the year, right now, this time next year.
Great,
No, thank you.
thank you. Okay, and then as it relates to the skate park, I just wanted to mention, I know the staff is evaluating what the right and next best steps are to address the playground that was destroyed by the 471 fire. And the skate park is in that, list of things that could be considered there. And I don't think that we have much more that really can be addressed at this point, but to come. So thank you for your advocacy. All right, we received many public comments as well via our email address. We encourage those to continue to send, or we encourage folks to continue to send emails to us. We read them all. We received comments this month about the deer hunting program, the Burnett Woods Dog Park, and again, about the playground under the 471 bridge. With that, I think we can go to approval of the October 15 minutes. You have a motion to approve or any adjustments requested?
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right, we've got Oliver DeBicky presenting on the pickleball at Sawyer Point.
Morning, Commissioner.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to give you a quick update. I want to start by just saying thank you for your vision in renovating the facility at Sawyer Point. And I want to also thank Jason and his staff for the great support that they give us every day. And also the foundation, Cincinnati Parks Foundation, Jennifer and her staff for all the great fundraising expertise and help that they give us in continuing its funds. With that, oops. Control. All right, so real quick, just quick question, which of these numbers is the hardest to believe? So we have 40+ ambassadors. So we train ambassadors to help us manage organized play at Sawyer Point. So as we renovated the facility, the crowds have grown and we've needed more people to help us manage the organized play. So we have over 40 ambassadors. In the last 2 years, we've hosted over 40,000 players each year. That's also true. So we've renovated the facility and people are coming to play. Thank you. 3 years ago, I didn't know what pickleball was. And a friend of mine invited me during the pandemic to come play at some random court up in Westchester. And on the way home, I stopped at Dick's, I bought a paddle for $50 and I started playing. And a few weeks later, I heard about Sawyer Point. And when I went there, I was introduced to, I was met by Janet, who introduced me to the different ways of playing. The skills are divided. North is advanced, south side is for beginners, intermediate. There's a paddle rack. You just put your paddle in the rack and you rotate in. So right away, I felt welcome. I felt how inclusive and accessible the facility was. And 6 months later, I was on the board, not because I love pickleball, but because I love how inclusive and open the culture was at Sawyer Point. And that's in our mission. We've garnered national recognition for the best courts in Cincinnati. We were named top 25 courts in the country, the only public facility in that list. And Cincinnati is gaining a reputation as a place to play pickleball. Okay. And we have people coming every week from all over the city, from Kentucky, from all over the country, and from all over the world. And every week we get posts on our Facebook page of people posting where they're visiting from. So we've invested in this facility and people are coming. And not just in Cincinnati, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the US. From 2022, there were 36.5 million players, up to 48.5 million players in 2023. Public courts grew from 420 in 2017 to 2,800 last year, up to 3,200 this year. So it's a rapidly expanding, growing sport, and it's because of the accessibility, because it's easy to pick up, it's easy to come and play in. There's a culture of inclusiveness. Okay. And so what we do in terms of activation is we are very focused on being inclusive and having people come in who are new to the sport or more advanced players. We have 4 certified instructors. We have 2 USA Pickleball ambassadors. There are 20 in the state. The only 2 in the city are on our board. We offer new player lessons, which is different than most facilities. We've had 35 sessions, 8 players at a time. We have 5 trainers that work with the new players. We then have a beginner league that people can join to play with other beginners, to gain confidence, to learn the sport. And then they can graduate to a learning league where they work on different skills every week as part of the league play. And then there's an intermediate league and a high intermediate league. So we have a way of progressing players as they come in. We also have a dozen ball machine coaches. So we have a ball machine, you can reserve the ball machine. You have a coach assigned that helps you set it up for the different shots that you want to work on, for the different aspects of your game that you want to work on. But the biggest thing is to organize play. Every day we have organized play in the morning, and then in the evening on weekdays we have organized play. So that's where we need the 40,000, or I'm sorry, the 40 plus ambassadors is to help us manage that play. So these are the numbers for 2023. We average 118 players per session for a court capacity of 88. And you can see by month, depending on the rain or the weather, those numbers fluctuate. But we had over 40,000 players last year. And again, this year, we averaged 123 players per session. And again, Monday through Fridays in the evening, but 7 days a week in the morning. Okay. And here you see what the paddle rack looks like in the evening. We've seen an explosion of young people coming out in the evening. Every week there's new people who are coming to Sword Point. There are 2 racks like this that govern the 12 group play courts. And they're both overloaded like this. Then we have open play courts that also are stacked up. And so when it gets this busy, we go to 4 on, 4 off. But normally we like to have people rotating in 2 on, 2 off at a time. But we're seeing explosive growth and popularity. So last winter, we revamped how we manage organized play. So we have 3 ways to play. The idea is if you come down by yourself, you can rotate in. That's our #1 principle, is being inclusive. You don't need to know anyone. When you leave, you're going to know a bunch of people. So we have the courts split. The blue courts are for the newer players. The red courts are for the more advanced players. And you have a paddle rack for each side that lets you rotate in. Then we have 2 challenge courts for people who are more advanced and want to have a challenge. We have one on both sides. So for an intermediate challenge court and an advanced challenge court. And then the other courts in green, those are open play courts. If you come down with your own group of friends and you want to play amongst yourself, those courts each have a paddle rack behind them. You can stack up, you play with your friends. Someone stacks up behind you, you yield the court to the next group. So you play 1 game, you come off, you play 1 game, you come off. And then we have 3 tennis courts on the end. The one on the furthest end is there's no pickleball nets on it unless we have a tournament. So, and then tennis always has priority on those courts. So if we have tennis players coming in, the pickleball game finishes and the tennis players have the court. Okay. The other thing we've done is worked on our board development. So we started out with a board of 5. This summer we had elections and we grew the board to 9. We also staggered the terms. So now we have a little broader group. We have a chance for people to develop and learn about all our different aspects and have divvied up the responsibilities a little broader. So just working to make pickleball Sword Point more sustainable. And Lou is going to give us a quick update on revenue.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'd like to preface my comments with, a couple statements. One, obviously, pickleball has just been a tremendous success, a grand slam success down, for Sawyer Point and for the entire system. And I also want to take this opportunity to just say how important pickleball at Sawyer Point has been to the success of this program. I think this partnership between pickleball at Sawyer Point and the park board has just been the model of how the city and a city department can work with volunteer organization to really create a resounding success down there. So the specific thing I'm here to talk about, other than those comments, is that the fact that this area at Sawyer Point from 2018 to 2021 was a non-revenue producing section of the park. In 2022, when we did introduce pickleball into the facility, we almost immediately started getting some revenue from that portion of Sawyer Point. It was relatively modest in 2022, but you can see in 2023 it had substantial growth. And that growth trend continues into 2024. I'd also like to say we're actively starting on 2025 in terms of planning. We've already have a commitment from the APP to come back for 2025, which is a major pro-am type tournament. And we also took a reservation from a fairly prominent amateur tournament for June. But the beauty of this is not only are we now getting some revenue there at pickleball, but the nature of the basic program continues to be free and open to the public. And you can just see 40,000 people in a given year going through that facility from what had been, a largely unused portion of the park. So again, it's a grand slam. So that concludes my comments.
Thanks, Lou. All right, I guess in September, the board approved the grant request to fund the shade solution. I was just talking to Joel, who informs me that the contractor's working on the permit. So we expect that the construction to happen this winter and to be up and ready for April when we reopen the facility.
When the sun comes out again.
Exactly. All right. And another thing that we do at Sawyer Point is we host tournaments. This is not core to our mission. This is a nice to have bonus. Lou talked about that. It's a moneymaker for the park system. It's nice economic impact for the city as a whole. In the last 2 years, the APP has had a tournament over 900 players from over 42 states in Canada. It was broadcast on CBS Sports the first year, ESPN last year. So it's a pro-am tournament, pros and amateurs. We also hosted the USA Pickleball Great Lakes regional tournament in 23 that had 600 plus players from 20 states and Canada. So we've had some success with tournaments, but again, not core to what we do. It's just a nice bonus. Okay. We did get some feedback last year from the APP tour, predominantly positive. They love the parks, the staff, the support they get from our volunteers. They love how close we are to Chicago, where they're headquartered. They love the market. They love that the courts are fully lit and the parking is ample. They did ding us on number of courts. They like to have tournaments that are 1,000 plus players. To do that here, they need to stretch out the number of days. Last year, we got into repainting courts. We're not going to do that this year. We may do that just for the championship court, but nothing else. But we're working with Lou and the staff to see if there's other parks we can also incorporate into the tournament to run some of the lower level games to get all the games in. So it's just FYI, that, you know, as pickleball grows across the country, there's more and more parks that are developing to bigger facilities. So this is something that might get thrown at some point, but they love coming to Cincinnati. So initially in 24, they had dropped us. We were 13 out of 12. But they, you know, they looked at all our pros and all our strengths, and then they decided to put us back on the list. And we're on the list again for 25. Okay. So just want to say thank you again for the fabulous support that we get from everybody. We've had tremendous support from our community. We have almost 300 volunteers that help support tournaments, who help support with the beer booths for parks. We have over 140 donors to help us raise the funds for the shade canopy. So we're just getting tremendous support from the community, from the city, and from the park. So thank you very much.
Outstanding.
Out of order for a question. If you walk me through the math, you know, there's 123 average per session,
Yes,
but 88 capacity.
yes.
What's the capacity calculate? I was just gonna say 4 per court, but
Yes,
instead,
exactly. Yeah.
okay, so there are 22 dedicated pickleball courts. The other are
Yeah.
not
There's-
routinely.
There's 18 dedicated pickleball courts, and then there's some overlay courts. But yes,
Got it. So it is 4 per, and I can
yes,
see it.
yeah.
Thank you.
And there's, you know, there's nights where we have 200 people. And there's days where it rains and we have 0, you know, so the average comes out to 123. But there's nights where, especially evening, it just gets busy.
And a comment or a thank you for the data that you're collecting. That is, as a body overseeing 5,000 acres, there's more than we can individually watch all the time. So having
Sure.
data
Yeah.
on a consistent, reportable, historical
Yeah.
basis is certainly helpful.
Yep.
Thank you for your consistent gathering of that.
Thanks.
Well, the organization is really a model for how to organize around something that can really create a big impact and be just a really meaningful recreation opportunity for our residents and visitors.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Joel, you're up. You usually don't get to the table this early.
Morning, Commissioners. Good to see you all. The action items are light today, but the updates are heavy, so please let me know which ones you want to talk about, but I'd like to start with the Bicentennial Commons action item. This one has been in the works for a while, trying to refurbish some of the entrance to the Bicentennial Commons. As you know, Blue's done a great job already helping us get contracts to get some of the ironwork painted and statues refurbished. This is kind of the last piece of that. $70,550 is what we're asking to approve, to clean the brick, caulk, everything that is, you know, the caulk is deteriorated and needs to be replaced. Miscellaneous tuck pointing on all the brick, sealing of all the brick masonry inside of the fountains, and cleaning of particular pillar within that. So all of those are paid out of the Board of Visitors funds already received. So we're asking you all to approve today $70,550 to Bruce and a total of $80,000. So a $9,450 contingency in case things come up and they need some more brickwork than they think they do as they get into investigating that. I'm making a recommendation to approve $80,000 to Bruce. We won't encumber the contingency, only the DO amount of $70,550.
Any questions on this? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, I have a few updates just to touch on quickly. If you want me to slow down on anything, please just let me know. But lots going on, lots of construction finishing up, and just want to make you all aware of where we are with things. First one I want to point out is the Ludlow headquarters service garage. Bruce is screaming towards being done with that. Thanks to Crystal for pointing out a couple things earlier in this week when we had some rain that we're already correcting. So we're in punch list phase for that, pretty much taking care of last items on that. The electrical is in, flashing and stuff around the doors is not in. Things like that are left to tuck point and finish up. We expect that'll be done early in December and ready to go for those folks. Next one is the Art Museum driveway improvements just across the street over here. Ford has done a phenomenal job. I've just kind of been watching that project. Kind of when they need me a little bit, DOTE is running that, but they did a great job on all that stuff. We fixed some amazing storm sewer problems that we had for pretty cheap. The sidewalk is all the way in up to the top. I know that they've already grinded all of the pavement of Art Museum Drive. They're gonna relay all of that and stripe that as soon as they can. I think they're trying to have that done by now, but over the next couple of weeks, when they get a couple of days, they will be doing that. So I think that's the last thing. I know they installed the wooden guardrails in the past couple of days and everything looks really, really good so far. Next one I have is Ted Berry. Bruce has been doing a great job with the concrete. The flat work continues. Everything is going well down there. No issues to report really. Everything's running smooth. We think they're going to be done with hardscapes as long as it doesn't continue to snow by the end of this year. Still a possibility of some trees going in early. All the trees have been selected. We know where they are. It's better to have them in the ground on our property than it is sitting in a yard kind of healed in for next year. So if we can get some of those bigger trees in the ground this time of year, we certainly will. So that one is going well. Also, let's see, Chris and I are working on Smale Lot 23. The final document that we need is figuring out how to bid everything. All of the DEI inclusion goals and things are complete. Actually setting the bid tab. Chris and I are working with purchasing. We hope to have that done this week. So all of the documents necessary to bid will be in for that ITB, hopefully by the end of this week. And then purchasing can take that through and start advertising here very shortly, probably before the next meeting. You all kind of touched on a little bit, but the Mountain Area Bike Skills course and the ADA pathway, the bike skills course, as Jason said, is running through finance right now and expect that to be done by the end of the year. Our architecture team has already put together an overall site model for this so that when American Ramp is under contract, we can share that model with them and put them just that far ahead of getting stuff going. So we've already done that site topo and we're going to share it with them so they can help with their design build. All that's going well. We do have news a little bit on the Mount Airy Treehouse. We got initial numbers back from Megan a couple of days ago and we haven't even dove into everything yet, but it's approaching $300,000 to fix the treehouse. A lot of that stuff is things that we feel like facilities can do. One of the things we did through this was get Schaefer to give us stamped drawings so that we have a full map of everything we need to do to fix the treehouse forever. So whatever we need to do from here on out. That also means that if there's some of these things that our facilities folks can do in-house much cheaper, we're going to explore that option before we do this. So it's likely that we may have Paul and Andy and their team do the railings and things that they would do anyway per the spec designed by our engineer, and only have Megan do the things, the supports and things that are out of our, facilities folks control. So we're working through that. We will have a recommendation for you in December, but those are our current numbers and estimate under 300,000, but approaching 300,000. Yeah. I believe we've made a lot of progress with biochar in Sinton this month. We've had additional meetings with buildings and inspections, fire, stormwater management unit, all to kind of flesh out the biggest and last details of that project before we can go 100% towards Sinton. Biggest issues potentially, we know we're not going to have to sprinkle the biochar building. That was one we were concerned about. Since it's less than 12,000 square feet, we don't have to do that. It is about 4,000 to 5,000 square feet, but what they will require is that we have water closer than we do, capable of fire suppression. So right now, the closest 6-inch main is out on the street, outside of there's a hydrant essentially right outside of the gate. That's about 650 and 700 feet away from the biochar building. We have to get it within 400 feet. So essentially right where that gas area is approaching 400 feet. So working through that, we don't think that's going to be a major issue, but we do know at this point, and that applies to both sites. We've been vetting water at the same time. Both of those have to be within 400 feet and they're not. So essentially we're conceding that we're going to have to put water. It's going to be a better site overall. Anyway, it gives Crystal and her team and Ann a place to fill up their 250 gallon F-250 tanks to utilize to water for green space. So that's coming. That was one of the things we're talking through retention. We don't think that's going to be a major issue. We don't have to run a whole bunch of pipes down the hill. We don't think. So all of those are good signs and good things that we've accomplished this month. I am in the process right now with Matt DeBona and Chris of putting together a front end memo to accompany our coordinated report. Anytime the city does things within the city, we turn in a report that all of the departments get to comment on, BNI, water, SMU. We are doing that right now and asking for those exceptions. If we don't want to do something that's within the code, we're going to ask for those up front to get an answer on that. That report, we hope, will go out next week before Thanksgiving, and we're going to ask for the comment period to end before the next meeting here. So hopefully we will have answers and preliminary comments at least to know if there's any showstoppers. Once there's not, we'll move forward with KZF and get everything rolling to have all that site buttoned up. I think the more that we work on this, the better it becomes, as everything is, but I think we're getting to a point where this is a pretty viable site and things are working out well. So all good news on Sinton and biochar in my world this month. Two community engagement things I want to mention. We had 2 meetings on Glenway in the past month. I think they went really well. I even learned some stuff after working on this project that I didn't know or hadn't considered. So thank you to everybody that came out to support us on those. Thanks to Jason for talking most of the time and getting some really good feedback from some people. Inwood Park, the same way. We had an initial community engagement meeting focused on Inway. That was awesome. Learned a lot of cool things. Asked a lot of questions on the big picture items. Now we're synthesizing all that. I believe Rocky and his team have a survey out through the end of the year, and we will synthesize that data into a master plan. We expect that we'll be starting on an RFP, request for proposals, for design services early next year for the things that we're not going to do in-house. So Inwood's moving right along as well. Let's see, just a couple things on next up projects and things that we're working on. Sanitary sewer has been a big issue. We have 4 issues right now, 2 at Burnett Woods and 2 at Mount Airy, 1 at Doris Day and 1 at the McFarland Woods Comfort Station. Both of those are kind of like Alms Park, where you have a 700-foot run of a 6-inch sanitary through a place now that has 80, 90-foot trees on top of it. So Jason has hooked us up with the Ohio EPA. Thank you for all that coordination. I'm writing a letter to a gentleman there asking for essentially a variance to let us potentially put in some pretty small septic tanks instead of ripping through the hill down a ravine to put in 600 foot of pipe that's now debunked. So they don't always do that, but we can probably make as good a case as anybody for resiliency of a site that we don't want to rip up, $200,000 worth of trees and trench down a 4-to-1 slope when we really don't even utilize those all the time that much anyway. If we're trying to save money doing that, this would be $100,000 job versus a $400,000 job in some of those situations. So we're working towards that and negotiating right now to see what we can do to get those back online. We know that the Burnett Woods on that side, both of those we're going to tie back in to sanitary no matter what. I want to say thanks to MSD. They've helped us immediately. They came out and helped try to dye test. We know, as you guys have heard for the past 2.5 years I've been sitting here, we don't have a really good map of stuff on site or underground utilities. And that's why Matt DeBona is doing what he's doing right now and getting all those digitized. This is one of those situations where everybody thought that the sanitary from the bandstand was tied in a certain way, and it's not. MSD doesn't know where the pipe is. All of that is kind of up in the air. So we're going through right now. Matt Schiller from my office is putting together an investigatory contract beyond what MSD can do to find those lines, see how we correct that, ensure we know how those are tied in and correct them as possible. So over the next couple months, you all will certainly get an update on that, on where those are going and what we have to do to get specifically the bandstand back into good service. So
I know we talked about this before, and maybe because you're gonna have to disturb the site, it may be an opportunity just to look at restoration of that.
yes, ma'am. The whole area, absolutely. Even in review of these, it is, you're right. And there's some erosion areas, Molly, that we looked at already. We're documenting that. We will bring forth a bigger project to correct some of those issues at the same time. Thank you very much. We are working on those things. Oh, let me see. Smale geothermal system. We think we're going to get the permit back in a couple weeks. So I want to let you guys know I'm on page 10, just updates on things that have been out there forever. We got word yesterday that the permit was ready. When Jenny opened that and sent it to us, we realized they attached the wrong thing at the EPA level. So we're kind of waiting on that. I thought there was another week left in public comment. So we're only getting a draft permit at the moment. We should get a final permit before we meet with you all again. Haven't heard of any crazy requirements. We think they're going to make us monitor this. This is for the geothermal systems at Smale Park. There's 4 wells that pull water out of the ground. Essentially it circulates to warm water that's next to it, non-contact, and then they discharge that water back out. They make us test that discharge wise. At the national level, they've redone how they do all these discharge permits, and that kicked us out of the permit that everyone was on for Smale for the past 10 years. Jenny and I and Ian from my office have been working to establish an individual permit for this. This is what all this is about. So all it essentially will mean is that we will have to monitor our 2 discharge points once per quarter, which is nothing more than we do anyway for splash pads and everything else that we do. But it will be 4 times a year where we send those samples into the EPA to ensure that we're in compliance and not above any action limits for any constituents, but it's river water essentially, so they understand that. Should have some answers for you next month. If there are any comments that change what I just told you and like that we would have to put in any physical difference from where the system is now, that's the only concern with this permit, is do they want us to do something different in how we discharge things? So.
Joel, if you get the permit, is there a horizon on that? Is it another 10 years? Is it?
5 years. They do those and you have to renew them every 5 years. I believe, commissioners, that's all the updates that I had. Do you all have any questions or anything on any project that I didn't cover?
Before we move off, page 29 is the schematic that we've been showing at the Glenway Park. It occurs to me we may or not have we've talked about it kind of individually with folks. We've talked about, this is based upon community outreach we've done over the last year and a half. But we presented this the last 2 community council meetings at East Price Hill Improvement Association and at the West Price Hill Civic Council, I think is what it's called. But this is the Glenway Park project again that we've been working on for a while. The foundation has gotten, I hear now, 2 grants totaling $300,000 to help us with this. We got $150,000 in the budget. And we've got a grant application into the state for some more money. There's basically 4 points to this plan that we've developed for kind of what I call like a minor park renovation, but it's still going to be several $100,000. So first of all, we removed all the honeysuckle. I think we've talked about that a couple of times, and we got a lot of compliments from the community about what that's produced. But the 4 points that we want to proceed with are, point 1 is making this park accessible. And so you'll see at the lower right-hand side that elbow-shaped pathway. That is Joel's preliminary design, and they've done the surveying to do this, to do some switchbacks to get up into the park at an accessible slope in order to make sure that that walking loop at the top is accessible. So that's piece A, get people into the park and get everybody into the park. Piece B is to move the playground. So you'll see on the lower left-hand side, there's kind of like a light tan, that's mulch, which is where the playground currently sits. The plan is to move it to the north side of the park along Glenway in that purple shaded area. You can see that's a much bigger zone. The reason Joel's team moved it up there was it allows for a bigger footprint while still preserving a square, which can be used for athletic stuff. So we've heard from folks who want to play soccer up there. We're not going to put like a striped field or a goalpost or anything like that, but it gives a big field to play touch football, to play soccer, to just throw baseball and play catch. Where if we would have kept the playground in its current location, it becomes more of an L shaped. The other piece is if you're going to play soccer up there and it's on top of a hill, occasionally a ball might roll down the hill. We'd rather roll down the hill on those 3 streets that don't get much traffic than to roll down onto Glenway. So by putting the playground up there, it prevents that. It also moves the playground, the third piece, it moves the playground closer to some of those. As you go north towards Glenway, there's some tiers, and those tiers can have picnic tables, maybe even a future shelter or something like that allows for family gatherings in a really nice way. So it keeps the playground closer to that. So that's part 2. Part 3 is there is currently a C-shaped pathway there that starts kind of right above it starts at the south or the lower right-hand side, and it goes all the way around to the steps at the top where the drinking fountain is, and then it stops. We want to restore that, make sure that that is kind of up to snuff. And then B, we want to continue that around. So it's a full loop. So that's part 3. We can probably fund all 3 of those parts with our existing about $450,000 we have. Then the next piece and the more expensive piece, but we think it's going to be really positive, is the yellow line. That yellow line, it's a little squiggly, is the electrical that would run to put lights up there. Currently, there are 16 dots of lights on there. And that would be a more modern light like you have down at Lytle Park. More modern park light like is at Lytle Park. The math on that, again, according to Joel, is that for the height of the light, you want to put about 3 times that apart. So the lights are about 14-foot tall. So you want to put it about 50 foot between the lights, which is what gets this 16. So one of the questions we've posed to the 2 community councils is that right? Do you want that much light? That would be like a path, like if you go to Smale and you've got a path that's like fully lit all hours of the night, or is this the kind of park that doesn't get as much use late at night anyways, and it's probably okay to just have 6 to 10 lights or maybe even 4 to 8 lights, and that you still get light, you still have much more visibility up there, but we don't necessarily need to make sure the pathway is the light touches every second of it in the middle, you know, when it's dark out.
Jason, lighting, as you know, is super important on this one. You have houses on those sides down those slopes, and what you don't want to do potentially is put 30-foot lights, the big floodlights that you're just now shining in everybody's windows. So the lights proposed at this level are more intimate, more like you would see on 4th Street, the Lytle Parks along this Lytle Park lights they just put along 4th Street, the sidewalk. Those are essentially the same exact ones. And the shorter lights that are within Lytle Park, those are the same that would be essentially implemented here. That's the whole reason. And figuring out that light pollution will be important. We haven't done those studies yet, but like Jason said, we threw these in here kind of as a best practice 50 feet apart to say, here's what we could do. Here's about the spacing that it would need to be in this situation. But we're going to study that as we go forward. Like, where does it really make sense to put lights in this area so we're not disturbing the neighbors?
And your lighting engineer is gonna guide the foot candles.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like you're on the right track.
Yep. So then, given public feedback, our plan is likely to include this in our capital request for next year that we would approve in December, council would approve in June, and then we'd be ready to go to build this right away.
This park is closed from dusk to dawn. Here, I mean, there's not a gate you can go
Yeah.
say, but to know it is open 24 hours. It is
10, yeah.
10 PM.
That is when it would close and open back up at 6 AM. That's standard for almost all the parks except the river.
My question from a lighting perspective, there's some ongoing, there's obviously the initial capital outlay and there's ongoing. Is lighting during the hours when the park is not officially open, does that deter unauthorized, non-desirable use of the park, or does that help it because you got a place to hang out? Or is that a question that has been a hot topic of conversation?
We've seen it go both ways, you know,
Okay.
requests from the police, you know, keep the lights on, turn them off. So,
Yes. Are we creating an attractive nuisance so where people have a chance, but at the same time, are we improving safety, which is what we've heard as well. So
And you can also go to like a nighttime light mode where not every single light is on. You do every other, you know, with timers and other things, so but you're right.
setting it.
There's not an accepted standard answer of it.
right,
Well, it's one of the reasons we're asking the community, like, you know, we first heard from them in our initial communication sessions a year ago, lights would be great, right? And I think the prevailing theory about the community, and I tend to think I agree with this, is that even if there's bad activity going on, I'd still rather see it than be surprised by it. And that if we have lights and you want to go for a nighttime walk, say like tonight, you want to go for a 7 o'clock walk with your boo up there, you know, then you at least know what you're getting into, where you wouldn't even consider it if it was dark and you just know this is a park that, I don't necessarily want to go to. So that's kind of my initial gut. And I think that's what we were hearing from the community is they'd rather know what's up there. It's similar to getting rid of the honeysuckle. If I can see from the street what's going on, I at least know what I'm getting myself into. And maybe I do only walk half the path, but at least I know what happened instead of just being like, nah, you never go there when it's dark. So that's the initial kind of thought.
Thank you.
We anticipate increased activation with this too, with the Santa Maria development next door, where that's rolling through the CSR process right now, which is the developer's process. I sit on that one as well. So we've actually requested a crosswalk. They're not going to continue the sidewalk down that road down to Glenway, but we're requesting a crosswalk right before that to cross the street such that it's easier for everybody to get into Glenway Park. So all of those things hopefully together are gonna, you know, increase positive activation.
Great project.
I love it. thank you to the foundation for pushing it forward. So this one wouldn't be here without them at this level right now.
It's one of the first ones that fully started after Joel and I have been on the team. And this has gone from like, just this is a park that could use something to what do we want here to community engagement to follow-up community engagement. It's been really fun.
One more thing, just to point out the cool stuff about this drawing. On the back side of the flyer that we printed out, there's some really cool pictures of the second iteration of tanks that were on that.
Wow.
There is the 4 30-foot diameter, 48-foot tall tanks that were erected after the original 100-foot diameter, 48-foot tall tank. That was the one that failed. So initially in the late 1800s, I guess, the 100-foot tank didn't even make it to completely full once. And just the offset in the bolts, they had enough play in the offset of the bolts going up the side of those walls that the eccentricity, the difference in forces from not vertical, caused those flanges to bust. And that's why it failed under that volume, that head pressure essentially from the water. They replaced it with these 4 that lasted 30 to 40 years, no additional incident. Then they moved off of that to the Mount Airy site where all of the water is now. And these were decommissioned in the late 20s, I think. So we expect to find some foundations of those, and we have pieced together as well as we can from those drawings where we think we're going to encounter those on the site. So it could be some historic stone. If we find some cool stuff, we'll save it. It may also dictate a little bit of our grade. We're not just going to tear stuff out for no reason. We want to make that green space as flat and usable as possible, but we're not going to do it at the expense of blasting rock either. So that is kind of an unknown that we don't know going into construction that we're kind of anxious to see how it goes. One of the funnest parts of the job. So just some cool old pictures. Thanks to Andrew Campbell and everybody that helped him put all those together because he found me all that. So it didn't take very long to put together.
Really cool.
I think that's all on Glimmer.
Probably working for the update.
Welcome.
Outstanding.
This one's an awesome project. The whole team loves this one. We all get to do some cool stuff on it.
That's great.
And I will say this, the switchback is schematic only. We are doing a full detailed design, landscape architecture design on that. That's what we're doing in-house right now. So that will get.
Expect no less from you.
I'm glad, means I'm doing my job. You all have anything else for me? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Derek, where are you?
Morning.
Good morning.
A relatively short presentation for you guys today. Currently, we have.
You're in the room here. What's going on?
Not that it's one. Oh. Please.
None of this happens without the people.
I agree. Currently, we have about 157 full-time, 112 part-time. We have a lot of positions in the works. Currently, we have about 19 vacancies, but we have up to 15 that are at least have been posted within the interview process. Want to give a test. So exciting because a huge chunk of those will be filled within the next month or two, but also some of those will have to be backfilled. So it'll create additional vacancies, but it provides opportunities for more employees to get full-time employment, more employees to get promotions. So we're heading in the right direction. As this summer season is ended and we're kind of slowing down on that part, we can really focus in on filling some of these vacancies a little bit faster. I would like to highlight Patricia Shoemaker, John Roker, Cornelia Seals, Dennis Greaves. They have gotten full-time positions. I do expect to have another laborer offer accepted by the end of business today. So that'll be 5, and then by the end of next week, we may have a 6th. So we're moving really fast with filling these positions. And people aren't, a lot of our municipal workers don't have to wait as long to become full-time. We had 3 postings that recently closed: computer systems analyst, maintenance crew leader, service crew leader. All of those will be filled within the next couple of months. Lead arborist closes within the next couple of weeks. Had to leave it open a little bit longer, just because we're not getting the amount of applications that we would get for other positions, because it's just a specialized field kind of. Like I said, there's 9 vacancies. I kind of summed up kind of what's going on with a lot of the positions. in the front end this time. I would like to say that we have a supervising engineer that is in requisition in the final phases of getting approved, and we will market that position, put it on social media to hopefully get a large group. And also a senior accountant to help with our finance team. So we're doing a lot and we're also marketing and putting on social media to try to get a nice group that we can get the best candidate possible. So on that note, I want to thank the CEP team because they have been more than accommodating. Last minute requests to create flyers, and we're sending them out citywide. They're doing a really good job. So I want to thank Rocky and his team for that. This winter, we're focusing on bringing back Parks Academy, which is a program dedicated to offering educational resources, professional development opportunities for Parks employees, helping them to enhance their skills and grow within their roles. It's something that was here a while ago, but this is specifically volunteer if they want some of the Microsoft suites, leadership training. We're going to put that out and present it to you eventually. Parks safety program is in full swing. So all of the divisions have a list of safeties that they have to do this winter to ensure that our staff is safe in the summer. And they're doing a really good job. They're working with Sherry Cottingham and my team to make sure that we get that done. So we should be one of the safest departments next year. I want to thank the foundation, just like everybody else, because they have been more than accommodating, assisting, whenever I request something special when I'm trying to do something for our employees. And it's gone a really long way. Like when I'm in the field, I can feel the difference in how happy they are, how connected they are with the leadership team. So I just want to thank them. It's been hugely impactful.
I got a chance to stop by the all staff and thanks to the foundation for enabling that. That was really cool. Just a great vibe, a great energy, and you can sense the connectivity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a tug of war competition. So West District was our champions, and they were very proud. I wish we had some of the pictures. We have a lot.
It's good to note that we didn't talk about it till Lou left, because I think it's still too sore of a subject. It's still too sore of a subject for Lou in the finals. Didn't quite go the way he wanted to, and he was not a pleasant camper.
About 5 minutes.
It got serious. It got serious. And that's the fun part of the job, just getting everybody together, not talking about work, but just connecting with everybody. I want to thank Crystal, Courtney, and her team, working with Youth to Work. Obviously, we have Groundworks that take on 50 students annually, but they also have one Youth to Work student per in each of the 5 Explore Nature locations. So I want to thank them for that. They'll be getting that posted January 1. We have a lot of flyers that we're sending out and stuff like that. And we have a lot of people at Parks having babies. And the foundation is supporting us as well with that, just to give them something, just to support them as much as possible. We're connecting with them and say, you know, as they're out, what do they need? And I'm going to thank them for supporting us as well. Those are the things that kind of go below the radar because we're just so busy. But now we can kind of focus in on those things that just support our employees. That is pretty much it. You guys have any questions for me?
I mean, this is outstanding. Really to prioritize our people, and I just love what you did there. You showed appreciation for the other division managers and what they're doing, what their teams are doing. And that the foundation is doing so much more than funding the bricks and mortar of these projects, but really investing in the people that are doing this work. And like I say, this is the most important thing. Everyone wants to see the bricks and mortar, but none of it happens without great people that are really passionate about doing great work. So
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
You're changing the city, Darren.
You are. Thank you, Parks.
Amen.
Everyone here is great. Great. All right, Jason, you're up. You're on the mic before 10 o'clock.
I'm the mic before 10. Relatively simple, couple of donation acceptances. The first one is we're going to accept $3,500 for Explore Nature scholarships. The Stevenson Sisters Grant is allocated to support the inclusion of students from low-income families in the 2025 Explore Nature program. The This is one we do every year. It's super important to make sure we fill a little bit of our goals to get as many folks as possible and make sure our camps are open to everybody. So we're
Great. So can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
And then I forgot we do this roll call. I'm just on too many boards. We're roll calling the vote.
only if somebody's online.
Only if somebody's online. Okay, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Next up is our quarterly acceptance of in-kind contributions. You'll note that we've got an adjusted memo in the back of your packet. So we're going to request an acceptance of $55,000, $55,398.73 of in-kind donations. There's a spreadsheet on the back that highlights it. Originally, we were going to accept additionally the work that the foundation has done with MSA Architects to plan the roller skating rink renovation project. But we're also expecting them to present that project to us in the coming months. And we think that would be a more appropriate time to accept that in-kind donation as we hear the presentation and quite frankly, if they have to do any other renovations or any other revisions to the plan, we'll know the full scope of what they're paying to them. And so that'd be the right time to do it rather than accept some of it now. And then if they spend another couple $1,000s with MSA to do it then.
Thank you. So we've got the list of those supplies and in-kind donations here. Any questions on these? I see the big one is the CVG model. And that is what's been added to the Solstice project.
So correct. So that's to preview my director's comments.
Oh, sorry.
We are getting ready we're in full swing with the winter show at Crone. Amazing. The tree lighting ceremony is coming up. Hopefully it's on everybody's calendar. But every year we add one of these natural models, which are just unbelievable. Anybody that's seen them knows of iconic buildings around the city. Last year we added the Freedom Center. This year we're adding the airport, which I can't even imagine. That feels like that would take up the entire room. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. And so that is something that we always partner with the foundation and generally the building that is getting added that they donate to the foundation. The foundation pays Applied Imagination. Yep. Who are the ones that construct them.
Is there a little model of Candace McGraw waving goodbye to them?
There should be. There should definitely be. So sad.
Oh.
We'll live on and on.
Do we have a motion to approve those in-kind donations?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is that, we've got your comments then, Jason?
Correct. Wasn't much of a preview. So the holiday show is up and running. It runs through January 5th. Always amazing. The new CVG model is going to be really cool and I can't wait to see it. The tree lighting, which I said I hoped was on your calendars, is officially on December 5th at 6 p.m. So hopefully you can stop by. In fact, there we go. There's a little bit of a preview of it. So that just looks fantastic. Really cool. We've talked a little bit about, and Evan from the skate park folks have left, but the 471 bridge fire was obviously not a phone call you expect to get early in the morning or want to get, but our team and Lou's team reacted really well to basically support the firefighters and ODOT as they did the super important work to figure out what happened and to start to plan how to fix it. And so our first step was to create a giant perimeter and keep people as far away from the bridge as possible. And then as they built up their perimeter, we released that after about 5 days and allowed folks back into the park once they had a secure perimeter of fencing. A really tricky piece is that our friends at Pickleball rudely scheduled a tournament the day of our fire. How did they not know? But they had a tournament that was supposed to start that Saturday. And so we spent the day on the phone with the pickleball folks, on the phone with ODOT and the fire inspectors to see, like, can we open pickleball? Pickleball is a decent distance away, but it was inside of that giant perimeter we created. And we were able to walk the site with the firefighters, and the fire emergency team Friday at like 5 o'clock. And we made the call that we were able to keep the pickleball court open. Lou limited access. They were only going to use half of it anyways, but the plan was to keep the other half open for open play. We were able to close open play, limit the pickleball to one side, and it worked out that we were able to keep that tournament going. So we're really happy to do that. People traveled from out of town. Obviously, a fire at a bridge is much more important than any recreational activity, but we were really glad we were able to keep that going. But just super, our team did a great job. We've still been coordinating with them. Obviously, we have lots of decisions to make about how to restore the playground. I think we all know we want to do that. Where to put it, probably not back under a bridge, and then what to do with that area under the bridge, and when can we even reasonably think that we might have access to that, because currently we don't have any access to it and we shouldn't. So we'll keep you guys in the loop on that. We're going to start kind of thinking about what to do with the playground since that's outside of that area, and see if we can't get that moving as soon as possible with some big events coming up next year, and Oktoberfest and then River Roots. It'd be really nice to have a playground back for that. So we're going to start putting our thinking caps on that one. The inflatable Olympics. I don't know if you guys, we told you guys this was happening, but the city manager organized a competition among city departments for the inflatable Olympics down at Sawyer Point. It was an unbelievable day. You can see our team there competing in some stuff. When the city manager first called us up about this, or her office did, I thought this sounded crazy. I told you Lou was big on coaching tug of war. There he is, yelling and screaming. But it was a huge hit. Everybody had a blast. The solicitor was running around with a judge wig on, like she was from the 1700s, and a robe and a gavel, cheering everybody on. It was fantastic. I should point out that Parks won. We got 3 golds and 2 silver medals, so we had the most medals of any team, which was really exciting. Special shout out to all of the folks on the team. You can see the list of Andrew Clark, Ray Clater, Angie Carlos, Kate Lawrence, Derek Gentry, Hedda Fairbanks, Andrew Campbell, Mark Hand, Antoine O'Neill, Nicole Hughes, and Alita Andrews. Awesome team, and they did a great job. Really fun day. The all-staff meeting, as John mentioned earlier, was great. It was at Maple Ridge Lodge. Everybody did great. As you heard, the West team won, West District won the tug of war. It was just a beautiful day for it too. We couldn't have been luckier. We also were visited not only by Commissioner Nyer, but Commissioner McCallum stopped by. We had some yummy pizza from the foundation, pizza salad and salad. It was a great day.
That's the West team on the bottom right, basking in their victory.
And that's Angie in front, which certainly the spiritual leader of the energy the West team brought to the entire activity, and that we brought to the inflatable Olympics. As she kept telling me, she's like, I want all that smoke, which I think was the glory of winning. And it was fantastic. So it was really good. Volunteer events. As you know, our volunteers are still the core of what we do. They get so much done for us. On Saturday, we've got invasive removal at Avon Woods. Saturday, December 7th, we've got some community work days scheduled at La Buedo. In Mount Airy, the next 4 Sundays, we've got projects, and this includes some trail work with Corps volunteers on Sunday, the 8th. Alms Park's having a community work days on December 7th and the 21st. Caldwell Nature Preserve, French Park are doing invasive habitat restoration on the 14th of December. And California Woods has projects scheduled for Saturday, December 21st. It might get a little chilly out, but that is the perfect time to get out and to attack these invasives. As the tree retreats its energy into the roots, that's the time you want to hit the invasives with what we need to do to get them out. So great work, and thanks to everybody. And we keep events going. Lou's team keeps stuff going all year long. We've got the big tree hike this Saturday at the old growth forest of California Woods. It's a guided hike to learn about trees, explore what makes the area so special. Candy cane wreath making workshop takes place at Caldwell Nature Preserve on Saturday, December 7th. A professional florist is going to give lessons in floral design, and the event is geared towards adults and children over 10. Nature Encounters at Trailside Nature Center takes place every Saturday through December 21st. Except the week of Thanksgiving, and each one has a different theme, such as park history, birding, owls, treasure hunts, and more. And then the Chris Crindle Market at Moorline Lager House. This is a great partnership. I mean, it's all sponsored by Moorline, but it's just a great activation of this space. Lou's team supports it. It kicks off tomorrow with a kind of a parks preview night where they've invited park staff down to kind of let them test out the kinks, almost like you do at a new restaurant. And it runs through January 5th. They've created a ice skating experience. I don't want to call it a rink. It's like a trail path system through the Smith Lawn. It should be really fun. As you remember, last year they had the big ice slide, which was really fun. And so it should just be great if you guys want to stop by. The board is of course included in the staff preview day tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Let us know you want to go and we'll make sure you're on the list. But just lots of stuff happening all the time. Wow, the big tree hike is quite a graphic. That's fantastic. And just a great time to point out, like, all of those graphics are amazing, and Rocky and his team, TV, and Lahik and our lead graphic designer just do a great job of making these great graphics that when you're online, you see them, you get excited about them, and you want to participate in them. I get a lot of compliments in this job where people are just walking around saying like, you know what I love? But our social media is definitely one that we hear about a lot. And so your team does a great job. And the annual report should be coming next Thursday. So get excited about that, but check your inboxes. It always, well, I shouldn't say Friday. It always comes the day after Thanksgiving, right?
Probably spit out.
It'll come on Wednesday.
To the public after the holiday.
Third time's the charm, but it'll come out Wednesday. We're really excited to brag about everything we did in fiscal year 24.
Outstanding. Commissioners?
December 5th at 6, on Thursday, December 6th is the lighting at Crone.
Correct, yep.
Any comments, questions, compliments? All right, I wish everyone a joyous and restful Thanksgiving holiday. There are only 6 weeks left in the year. That's right. So our next regular meeting is December 19th. That'll be our last meeting of the year at 9 o'clock. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.